As more video emerges showing just how severe the violence was during the Capitol riots last week, we're also seeing the situation through the eyes of some of those Capitol police officers. Now, to be clear, there were two situations going down. Number one, they were severely outmanned, and many of them had to deal with a crowd that was violent toward them. In other videos, of course, we saw evidence of Capitol Police taking selfies with these wannabe insurrectionists. And so it's important to be able to differentiate the two. But with that said, there was one specific cop who spoke about his experience, and his experience was caught on camera. So let's go to this CNN package that outlines exactly what happened, and then we'll discuss.
It was difficult to offer any resistance when you're only about 30 guys going up against 15,000.
DC Metro police officer Michael Fanone was in this group of officers at the west front entrance of the Capitol as rioters forced their way in. They eventually push him out into the crowd where Fanone says he was tasered several times. While trapped, the 40-year-old says he thought about using his gun to fight back.
Some guys started getting a hold of my gun, and they were screaming out, kill him with his own gun. At that point, it was just like self-preservation. How do I survive this situation? And I thought about, using deadly force. I thought about shooting people. And then I just came to the conclusion that, if I was to do that, I might get a few, but I'm not going to take everybody, and they'll probably take my gun away from me, and that would definitely give them the justification that they were looking for to kill me if they already didn't have made that up in their minds. So the other option I thought of was, try to appeal to somebody's humanity, and I just remember yelling out that I have kids, and it seemed to work. Some people in the crowd started to encircle me and try to offer me some level of protection.
So obviously he made it out of that situation. He was later asked, if he could say anything to the rioters who, tried to protect him. What would he say? And he basically said, well, I guess thanks for helping me, but F you for being there. But it's just amazing how you deal with a group of people who have demonized Black Lives Matter, demonized people who agree with and are sympathetic and empathetic to the demonstrations that took place over the summer. These Trump supporters have been vicious to those people because they claim they support cops. But then as soon as they realize that, maybe some of these cops are not on our side and we're not entitled to just break into the Capitol building, they turn on them real quick. And you see that not just in that video, but in several other videos that have been released since the riots took place. So I wanna open it up to the panel. What do you guys make of some of the video that's been coming out recently? Has your view of what happened in the Capitol changed at all? As we're seeing more and more evidence of the violence on the ground?
For me, it just strengthens the case that police officers, even though we have an example here of a police officer and it's an empathetic story, he's been attacked and it's senseless violence. You also have data coming out that shows that dozens and dozens of Parler videos, and Parler has been this app that has now gone offline, where a number of the far right has been entangled with mainstream conservatives, where many of those videos have been coming from immigrant detention centers. They've been posting from police precincts within several feet of police precincts. So essentially you have these users on this far right platform that are coming from law enforcement officials. And there is a sense that, these police officers, they just didn't do their job. But for a lot of them, their job is to protect a fascist regime. For them, they are being patriots by protecting the status quo and protecting the order that we have right now. So it's very clear that things like Blue Lives Matter or All Lives Matter are meant to be obstructionist. They're meant to be reactionary. They're not about actually protecting blue lives or protecting all lives. It's about maintaining power and maintaining the status quo. So you have people who advocate so much for law and order that are now like, oh, disorder is what we need to do.
Yeah, your analysis is just so on point. And just to provide, like, buttress your point regarding the cops' involvement. I mean, it's something we've been touching on throughout the week because it's so important. You want to root out the systemic failures that we experienced, rather than immediately jump to some new policy that further violates people's civil liberties, innocent American civil liberties. So in this case, you have 2 Capitol Police officers who have been suspended. We don't know the specific details of why they've been suspended, but clearly there's some sort of evidence indicating that they were friendly with these rioters. You have cops throughout the country who have been forced to resign, who are facing investigations as a result of their involvement. We shared a story with you guys yesterday about 2 cops in West Virginia who are being criminally investigated due to their involvement in these riots. And you have a cop from Houston who was forced to resign as a result of attending these riots. So this isn't just a virus that's impacting the Capitol Police Department. It's something that we're seeing throughout the country. People who have been very sympathetic to Donald Trump and his supporters, and really see them as their friends, their allies, and white supremacy continues to be a huge problem within their ranks. So that's something that should be first and foremost when it comes to like pursuing investigations. But it goes beyond what happened last week. This is an ongoing problem with law enforcement throughout the country. And so, yeah, sorry for going on and on. Lance, I want to give you a chance to jump in.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're both saying. I don't like the conspiracy theory that some people propose that like there was a coordinated effort between the police and the protesters to take down the Capitol together or anything like that. I think what you see on a lot of their faces is utter confusion because this is this weird scenario. It's like Malaika was just saying, there's a lot of overlap between what the Boogaloo Boys, the 3%ers, the Proud Boys, all these like far right to white nationalist groups and police officers themselves. So in these early skirmishes you're seeing between Proud Boys and the police, it seems almost as if it's that moment where they're a little bit confused as to what to do. It's like, you were the chosen one. Like, why are we fighting? I thought we were on the same team. That's what I saw in amongst the chaos that was going down that day.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see how shocked they were when there was some pushback from the cops, right? Like, because it's hard for me to accept this, but the people who did what they did last week, they genuinely believe they did the right thing. Like, they genuinely believe that they engaged in some sort of patriotic act to take back the government. They genuinely believe the election was stolen from the rightful winner, Donald Trump. It shows you the power of propaganda. I think that the fact that people have been, at home during this pandemic has created more of an opportunity for people to get radicalized in the wrong direction. And so you see people who genuinely believe that, their political opponents are all part of this crazy underground cabal of child sex traffickers. Even though there's no evidence of it, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that conspiracy theories have spread and been so effective throughout the last few years is really, really disturbing.
I have one question. Has Q been right about anything? Like, seriously, anything? Has one drop come like to fruition? I'm not being facetious right now. Has anything come true?
I mean, Lance, you're asking a pretty big question because in order to know that, I'd have to follow every insane QAnon conspiracy theory and see if it's been debunked or proven correct. I will say that every single allegation that I've seen so far, including allegations about Tom Hanks of all people, not true. But
they got Hanks. Oh.
Everyone, I mean, it's just like the weirdest people would come up in their conspiracy theories. It goes to the power of propaganda.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.